This is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Well, I thought today we would do something a little bit different. So, we have decided to reach into we'll call it the mailbag or the email bag. We get a lot of emails and a lot of good topics, but this one I thought was pretty interesting. It comes from someone named Damon. I'm not sure, Damon, what his handle is on YouTube, but it's titled Jerry Reese, Good or Bad. It says, "Hi, Online Big Blue. I have seen some stuff in the paper and on YouTube about how it is Jerry Reese's fault that we are stuck in this hell. I don't buy it. Can you do a video and review Jerry Reese's career, Damon?" Well, you know what, Damon? I'm going to do a video on this today because I think I may have fallen into the trap, like everyone else, that it's easier to bash Jerry Reese for the issues the Giants are having now than it is to do anything else, to be honest. And I kind of wanted to look back at his career today and see exactly if it really is all Jerry Reese's fault. Now, everyone remembers the most recent years with Jerry Reese, and I think that's the problem. No one goes back to thinking that, hey, you know what? Jerry Reese was a general manager from, starting in 2007. So, but first let's get off through the Ernie Accorsi thing. The 2007 Super Bowl, in my mind, the majority of that success, I think, falls with Ernie Accorsi. No doubt about it. I mean, he brought in Eli Manning. He exercised the ghosts of his Baltimore Raven career when he lost out on John Elway. He traded John Elway because he refused to sign with the Colts. But like I said, and to me, Manning was one of the key contributors. But people also forget that Ernie Accorsi also had drafted Osi Umenyiora, Chris Snead, Justin Tuck, Matthias Kiwanuka, Brandon Jacobs, just a couple people. And he also signed as free agents Antonio Pierce, Kareem McKenzie, Plaxico Burress, and Fred Robbins. Not also the fact that he hired Tom Coughlin. So, you know what? To me, the 2017 does fall into the Ernie Accorsi realm. But then I have to sit there and think about it and say, well, you know what? Let's also just take a look back at Jerry Reese's 2007 draft class. I mean, he did take Aaron Ross at number 1, of course, from Texas. He had an okay career, but he also took Steve Smith, who had an awesome year, I think in 2009. So I mean, he wasn't the greatest pickup, but he did have a fantastic season, and I think more towards injuries limited him. He also had Jay Alford, who also had the big sack in the Super Bowl, Zach Diossi, who had been on the roster pretty much as long as anyone else, Kevin Boss, Adam Coates, and Amon Bradshaw. I mean, that's a pretty good draft class. I think you're looking at pretty much all contributors, for the 2007 season. Now, Adam Coates only started 4 games in his 5-year career, but, I don't really count him as a miss because he's a 6th-round draft choice. And the Kevin Boss issue was, like I said, it was, we let Shockey go after 2007, and Boss became, a solid tight end. So, I mean, we really had a lot of these players contributed either to the 2007 or 2011 Super Bowl. Now, that to me is a pretty good draft class. Now, if we stay on the draft class trail for our old buddy Jerry Reese, we go into 2008. Kenny Phillips. Kenny Phillips, he had a lot of injuries at safety, but you know what? He did have a really good career. I mean, he did have, like I said, he had his issues in the San Francisco playoff debacle, but you know what? He was a good contributor for the team. I mean, Terrell Thomas, I thought was always a good 2nd-round pickup. Of course, he missed 2011 and 2012 when he tore his ACL. He had all the issues again at when he was at USC. He also picked up Mario Manningham that year, Jonathan Goff, another contributor. Then, like I said, we also had some, 6th-round picks of Andre Woodson, the quarterback who never did anything, and Robert Henderson, again, a guy who never did anything. But then he get back in the 2009, he did select, Hakeem Nicks. Clint Simpkins was the linebacker. Oh God, he was 3 years. He made 33 tackles, and I think he started just one game. That was probably one of his hardest picks issues wise, but he was also a guy that had injuries as well. We had Will Beatty. I can never remember how to say Will's name. Ramsey Barton, who was just a waste of space. Travis Beckham, waste of space. Andre Brown, he as a 4th round pick, he probably should have did more for the team. We had people like, we had the quarterback that year, which was really nothing. Then you have people like DeAndre Wright, Stoney Woodson. Again, you're talking 6th and 7th round draft choices. You really weren't thinking too much of them getting picked up. Going into 2010, of course, he took over JPP, which was a great pickup. He also hit again with Levon Joseph, who was a great pickup. Chad Jones had injury problems. And like I said, right before the draft, we didn't know what's going to happen with him. And then we had some practice squad guys. We're not touching the Matt Dodge pickup on the 7th round pick. But even going into 11, we had Prince Amukamara. Outside of his injuries, he was still pretty solid when he was on the field. Oh, Marvin Austin. If everyone remembers Marvin Austin, good luck with that, because Marvin Austin was a waste of space. You had Jarrell Jenkins, 3rd round pick, who again was pretty much a waste of space. He was on the roster for 3 years. I don't know how he stayed on that long. James Brewer, not a bad player, not a great player, but still good enough. Then of course we had Greg Jones, who was a main contributor to the 2011 team. Tyler Sash, he was another one. We had Williams, of course, the other linebacker, who was another solid contributor to the Super Bowl team. You had Scott, the running back, who again was basically a waste of space. But if you take a look at it, we had some contributors that year, especially in Williams and Jones, that really helped propel us, into the Super Bowl in 2011. So like I said, we're not doing too terrible, but then you started breaking into, his 2012 draft. David Wilson. We didn't want Wilson. We wanted the kid that Tampa took. But you know what, Dave Wilson, I'm not going to say it was a bust. You can't call an injury a bust. Ruben Randall should have been left somewhere. How he stayed on the team for 3 years, I have no idea. He looked like he was going to be a number 2 receiver, but he just turned out to be bad. I mean, you're so bad that he ran the wrong routes. He looked lost at times. There was that game in Chicago where Eli threw 3 early interceptions, and they were all to Ruben Randall's side. And that was one of the few times that I saw Eli get upset with another player because he ran the wrong route 3 times. So, you know what? We're going to go with that. Jerron Hosley. Oh, God. Jerron Hosley was so bad. It's not even, bad is not even a word for bad. But then you go and say, well, Jerron Hosley couldn't be that burst, but you got Robinson, the tight end, who was supposed to be the JPP of tight ends. Yeah, he didn't work out too well as a 4th round pick. Same with Brandon Mosley. McCants, another waste of space. Marcus Kuhn, 7th round pick, the guy out of Germany. He contributed a little bit to us. But then you get back into 13, we're looking at Justin Pugh. Good player, solid player. Was he a talent that was spectacular? No, but he really found a permanent home at left guard, a very solid contributor. Jonathan Hankins will be signed to replace Levon Joseph when he left for free agency over to Minnesota Vikings. Another really solid, good pickup. We had Demontre, whatever his name is, I can't remember his name. But Moore, he was a waste of space. We had old Ryan. Quarterback out of Syracuse, again, a waste of space. Cooper Taylor. He was another issue pick. Michael Cox, throw him out the window. Again, like I said, then you get into 14, we're looking at Odell Beckham. Good, solid pickup, you know that. Weston Richburg, another good player. They had Jay Bromley, a good defensive end. Andre Williams. Andre Williams looked like he was going to be a steal, and he kind of just flopped, but I don't really blame that on him. What's his name? Kennard. Another good pickup. Bennett Jackson, nothing spectacular. And his problem was ran into the 15 when we picked up Eric Flowers, but we did pick up Landon Collins. And that's the thing. The 15 draft was pretty much a train wreck after Landon Collins. Bobby Hart was okay. And then, like I said, then you draft Eli Apple the following year. Sterling Shepard, good pickup. Thomas, the safety. You know what? I had high hopes for him, but like I said, he kind of went down the hill. B.J. Goodson was actually a good pickup. Paul Perkins looked like he was going to be something special. He kind of just fell over. Jarrell Adams, you know what? Whatever. And then you look at who we picked his last draft. We're looking at Evan Ingram. I think if Ingram can ever stay healthy, good pickup. Dalvin Tomlinson, you got to love that. Davis Webb, nope. Wayne Gallman, good pickup. Avery Moss, I don't see much out of Avery. So you know what? It's his earlier drafts were so much better, but he did find talent in the draft itself. Would I say he had a fantastic draft history? I would say between 2011 and 2007 were his best classes. Would I say that is something that we should take a look at with him? In reference to say that was one of the main reasons why he was so terrible, or people perceive him to be so terrible. No, I don't see that. But like I said, yes, a lot of his draft picks not panning out really did move the Giants into a quandary, a quagmire. Was that the only reason? No. But you know what? You also have to take a look at, he has some really good undrafted players. I mean, if you think about the fact that he brought in, he brought in people like Jake Ballard, Will Tye, good contributors. Henry Hanoski, he was a good pickup. Mars Herzlich, he was undrafted, but he had the cancer issue, the comeback kid from cancer, so that was more of the reason why he was undrafted, but he was a really good find. Larry Donnell, another good pickup, and then he also brought in people like Victor Cruz. So he also found talent outside the other avenues of just the draft itself. And also you got to look at some of his free agents. I mean, Kawika Mitchell, I can never say that name. Good, strong pickup. We got him over from the Chiefs. We signed him for just over $1 million, and he turned out to be a major contributor in the Super Bowl. So like I said, he was only on for Team Wear 1 year before he jettisoned, or I should say he bolted over to the Bills. But you know what? He got his big contract then, but he was a really good pickup in free agency. Stevie Brown, people don't remember Stevie Brown, but Stevie Brown was, until he had his issues and was demoted, he really was a good free agent pickup. Oh, the Black Unicorn. You know what? Martellus Bennett, good pickup. The only problem with the Bennett pickup is you only signed him for 1 year. That was your biggest issue. Michael Boley, he was a major contributor to the 2011 team, so that was always a good pickup too. Same with Steve Weatherford and even Lawrence Tyne. And then you even get back to one of his biggest pickups, what I think was going to be Antrell Roll. I mean, Kenny Phillips kind of fizzled out due to injuries, so we kind of had an off-season in 2010 where we were desperate for a safety. And we really targeted, like I said, Roll, who had just been released by the Cardinals due to, it was a salary cap issue. But he really was a major contributor to that Super Bowl. And then you also think about what Vernon, Jenkins, and Harrison. So, his ability to bring in talent via free agency was not terrible. Now, he did have some duds. Who can forget Walter Thurman III? That was that was pretty much a dud. Also, he brought in Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie too. Brandon Myers. Anyone remember Brandon Myers? Brandon Myers, he was with the Raiders. He came in, he caught 79 passes and 4 touchdowns with the Raiders, and then we signed him, and he gets 47 passes for 522 yards and 4 touchdowns in his only season. So, and also, can anyone remember or forget Marshall Newhouse? So I mean, it's he had a couple duds in free agency, but again, his bringing in talent was not a horrible thing in reference to being free agency. And also, if you think about it, he was never really a guy that overpaid players. Except for that 1 year we brought in Vernon, Harrison, and Jenkins. If you look going back to his, his dead cap space money, I mean, he only had, let's see, 11, I think. We'll go back just to 11. He only had 3 million in 11, 4 million in 12, 8 million in 13, and then in 14 and 15, he had 12 and 13, but that's still ranked 19th and 20th in the league. So he was able to maintain control of his cap as well. So if you're taking a look at a lot of things with Jerry Reese, it's not horrible. Now, if you go through his career, I mean, he did have, 2 Super Bowls. He had a winning record of 101 and 72. I mean, if you think about the Super Bowl after 7 in 2008, we lost because of the whole Plexico burst fiasco. We did go 12 and 4 that year. Then we went 8 and 8, 10 and 6, 9 and 7, 9 and 7, 7 and 9, 6 and 10, 6 and 10, 11 and 5, and 3 and 13. Yes, so you know what? I think Jerry Reese ran his course with the Giants, and I think that is the biggest thing. I don't think that he was the main culprit and the issue I think a lot of it starts at the top with Tish and Mara. But you know what? You got a guy that's got this long of a tenure, has a 101 and 72 record, and wins 2 Super Bowls. You're not doing too bad. Everyone forgets that, in the NFL, you have your peaks and your valleys. I mean, look at the Bills. Look at the Bills in the 90s. Look at the 49ers in the 80s and the 90s. Look at the Steelers in the 70s and the 80s. They had dynasties. The same with the Minnesota Vikings going back into the 60s and the 70s. They had dynasties. The Cowboys even had their issues. You go up, you go down, you go up, you come back to earth. Not all of it is just an issue from one person. And I think in a lot of ways, I've been a little... I've probably bashed Jerry Reese more than I should have, because I cannot sit here and after looking at all this and specifically say, yes, he is the reason why we are where we are today. He is a key component, but is it the only reason? Sometimes sometimes you sign a player that doesn't pan out. Sometimes you draft a player, they have injuries. Sometimes ownership doesn't allow you to bring in certain players you want to bring in. So a lot of it is, I can no longer, after looking at all this, I can no longer fully blame Jerry Reese for where we are right now. And you know what? That's, Damon, I'm going to give you 2 thumbs up, my man. Because you know what? You changed my mind on that one by making me do this video. So I really appreciate that. So again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. If you could if you could subscribe, if you could ring the bell, if you could do all those things, we would really appreciate it, because that would be awesome.